Okay, hi again. And we're going to begin with an introduction, more or less. The introduction is going to be where you're going to actually, over the next few sessions, you're going to learn, what is economics and why it's important, primarily. Secondly, you'll understand the basic concepts of microeconomics and macroeconomics. And then we're also going to discuss a little on how economists actually use theories and models to understand various economic issues. Okay, and lastly, towards the end of this whole session, or this whole chapter that we're going to talk about, the video chapter, chapter 1, we're going to talk about how economies can be organized and a basic overview of various economic systems. Okay, so you definitely had a lot of other concepts, other things that you could, or other subjects you could take up. Why is it you took up economics? Okay, so, and why is it that you have economics in your syllabus? For that, we need to understand what is economics and why it's important. Okay, now you should, after this whole session, this whole chapter is over, you should be able to understand, or rather you should be able to kind of explain the relationship between production and division of labor. You should be able to discuss the importance of studying economics, and finally you should also be able to kind of evaluate the significance of a term known as scarcity. Okay, now let's begin on a basic kind of introduction. Okay, now principally economics is actually the study of how human beings, they make decisions in the face of scarcity. These can be individual decisions, these could be family decisions, business decisions, societal decisions, or could be decisions related to communities as a whole. Okay, and various other decisions as well. Now, if you look around carefully, you'll see that scarcity is practically a fact of life. Scarcity actually means that human beings have wants for goods, services, resources, and these wants actually exceed what is available. So that's what primarily brings about this concept of scarcity. Resources like labor, land, raw materials, tools, okay, are all necessary to produce these goods and services that we want, but they all exist in a very limited supply. So the ultimate scarce resource, remember, is time. Everyone, whichever strata of society they fall, okay, whether rich or poor, elite or downclassed, everyone has just one common scarcity, which is the ultimate scarce resource for all human beings, okay, which is time. Now, you just have 24 hours. Everyone has just 24 hours to spend in a day, whether it's to earn income or to acquire goods and services, whether they want to spend this time in leisure or for sleep or to eat, okay, or how they combine all these things together, okay, actually come all in a composite daily basis comes to within 24 hours. You just can't spend more time than 24 hours. At any point of time, only a finite amount of resources are available. Now, let's think of this with an example. In 2015, okay, in the United States, the labor force had over 158 million, if I'm correct, 150 million workers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the US. Now, the total land area was about 3 million 794,000, a little more than a little more than 3,794,000 square miles. Now, while these are certainly, this 150 million, 158 million workers and more than 3,794,000 square miles seem to be, really large numbers. They're not infinite. They're also limited. Because these resources are also limited, so the numbers of goods available or services available that we need, to produce with these limited resources. Now, combine all this with the fact that human beings have wants that seem to be practically or virtually infinite. Okay, you can see why scarcity is a problem. Okay, so we just talked about scarcity. Next, what I'm going to give you is, a site which will be placed in the blog. Okay, which will have, which is a direct link to FRED. FRED is actually Federal Reserve Bank's database. Okay, where you'll find a number of a number of types of data, okay, on nearly 400,000 domestic and international variables over a period of time, okay, principally based on these broad categories. Keep this handy because it'll help you. Okay, it's it's the official site that I'm going to share. Now, these broad categories would be national accounts, where calculations on gross domestic product and its components would be involved. Flow of funds and international accounts. Okay, that's national accounts. Then you have population, employment, and labor markets, which includes income distribution. You also have money, banking, and finance. Since we're studying economics, it's very important that we take these into consideration. Then we have prices and inflation, including the consumer price index, the producer price index, and the employment cost index. Okay. Then you have production and business activity, including various business cycles. Okay. Then you have international data from some other nations. You have the US regional data, and also you have certain academic data like world tables and macro history database of I think it was NBER. Okay. Now, I'll also share a link to a video on how to use these links, okay, and how to use the Fred site. Now, for you to understand a little more, let me just talk to you a little more on scarcity. If you don't still believe or yet believe, that scarcity is a problem, you can also consider this. Does everyone, ask yourself these questions. Does everyone require food to eat? Yes or no? Does everyone need a decent, not a viable, but definitely a decent place to live? Does everyone have access to basic health care? You'll see definitely all across the world, in every country, you'll see that, there are people who go hungry many a day. There are homeless people who might call, the park benches as their own beds. Okay. There are people who are in dire need of healthcare, and these are just a few. There are some more that you can focus on few critical goods and services that people need. Why is this so? If we try to answer this question, we'll just understand one simple thing out here. It's not that everyone can't just afford. It's just that everything is not always directly, infinitely available. So that is the concept of scarcity. Now, if you go a little deeper into scarcity, in to understand economics, you definitely have to understand this concept of scarcity. You'll understand that everything that you consume, food, shelter, clothing, transportation, healthcare, entertainment, okay, how do you acquire all those things? You do not produce them on your own. You buy them. Okay? How do you afford the things that you buy? You work for pay. You get paid to work. If you do not, then someone else works in place of you and he earns. And then he has the capacity to buy as per his income or earning. But most of the time you'll find, almost 98% of the time you'll find, most of us just never have enough income to buy all the things that we want. This is because of scarcity. So how do we solve it? Now, to solve it, you need to understand another thing. Every society at every level must make choices about how to use its resources. There might be some country or some region that can produce butter and or guns. Now, how much of butter is required or how much of guns are required will depend on the societal, religious, polito-economic factor. Okay? Families must decide whether to spend their money on a new car or a fancy vacation or some definitely urgent requirements. Now, this is on a family basis, okay, on a family level, on a very, very targeted analysis that we're going for on a unit. Similarly, like families, the towns must choose whether to put more of the budget, of their budget, into their police and fire protection or into the school and healthcare system. Okay? I'll just finish this in a jiffy so that we're in a lockdown now, so I need to do some home chores. Okay, so anyways, coming back to the scarcity part that we're talking about. First, we've talked about the family, then we've talked about towns. Now let's go on to the nations. Nations must actually decide how much to devote or how much funds to devote into their national defense or into protecting the environment or into their health system or into their infrastructural system. It's for them to decide. In most cases, there just isn't enough money, be it on a family scale, on the town scale, on the regional scale, or on a national scale. There's just not enough money in the budget to do everything. So how do we use our these limited resources the best way possible? We do that, okay, in the best possible way, in the best possible manner, depending on what we actually require, okay, and to obtain the most goods and services that we can, okay, the best possible combo that we can find out of this way. There are a couple of options. First, we could each produce everything we each consume, which is, again, if you talk of technology or industrialized production, it's very difficult to achieve that. Or you could do another thing. We could each produce some of what we want to consume, and whatever excess we are producing of that particular item that we are producing, okay, we could trade that for the rest. We could trade that remaining quantity that we have, okay, for the rest of what we want. Now, this is just a basic pattern I'm talking about, okay. Definitely, it wouldn't be a barter system. There has to be a medium of exchanging. We sell off the excess that we've produced and we take money in place of it. And we spend that money for things that we don't produce, and we buy it from others who can produce them, the excess amount that they're ready to sell. Okay? Now think back. Go into the past, where individuals knew how to do so more than what we do today. From building homes to growing their crops to hunting for food, repairing their equipment, sewing their own clothes. Okay, most of us don't know how to do it all. Many of us don't know how to do any of these. Okay, but it is not because we could not learn. It is just because we do not have to. There are these services and these goods and these products that are available in something that we call a market. And we spend money out there to buy these goods, products, and or services. The reason why we do this is because there's something called division and specialization of labor. It was first put forward by a famous economist, Adam Smith, in his book called, I think it was, yes, it's definitely, not I think, I'm sorry, my bad. Adam Smith's book was called The Wealth of Nations. Okay? And he actually introduced the idea of dividing labor into discrete, definitive tasks. Okay? So we've talked about scarcity and we've just entered this division and specialization of labor. So I'll just end my video out here and wait for my next video in which I'm going to talk about the division of and specialization of labor. Okay. Off track, I've been going through a number of videos, a number of YouTube videos, Dailymotion, Vimeo videos, and everywhere I've seen people have principally used 3 keywords or key phrases, okay, so that they get more viewership and they have more subscribers, and it goes like this. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Take care till my next video.